Okay, this time what I'm going to do is, instead of going double overhooks, I'm going to go over and under. Okay, see how this arm goes under? Okay. Now I come through, and I've already got my arm underneath. From here I come to a standard straight ashi. Because his ankle is on my shoulder, it's very hard for him to put the foot on the mat. If the arm is here, it's very, very easy, right? So with here, I can create a weightless foot. Now I go here, here, taking note to hide his heel so he can't, just do this and kind of like his heel hook in. Yep, very stupid on my part. Now here he can't. Now we cross our legs. Now I raise my hips and I put the foot to this side. Now, we're generally speaking going to see one of two main reactions from this position when he stays on his knee. He can stand up as well, and that creates a new set of reactions, but if he stays on his knee, there's generally speaking two main things he can do. Okay, the first one is going to be when he brings his knee forward and he comes towards me. Okay? When we see this, what we're going to want to do is, I'm going to take my legs, I bring it, like I'm bringing my ankle specifically towards my own head, and then I'm going to knock him back. Okay? Now, the reaction you're usually going to get when you do that is he's going to come back again. Okay? That's okay. So watch. What we're going to do is we intentionally create that reaction. Let me push it all the way down. If he doesn't respond in that way, you can put him all the way down. Okay? And you've got the heel in there or other potential options. But honestly, guys, that's like very rare. People don't usually let you do that. So you don't put back up your knee. So now, when I go to sit him back, when he comes back, as he comes back, what I'm doing is I'm switching my hands. My left hand's going to grab here. As he comes back, this right hand goes here. And we have the option to spin underneath. Just don't backstep right away. Stay in the backside. Yeah. So we go again. Yes, we got that. Now, when I push him back, guys, the left hand goes here. Now, as he comes forward, my right hand, nice and slowly. My right hand makes it, you see how this makes a scoop here? Okay? Now I'm going to spin and stop right here. Take a look at my left hand, guys. It's catching at his knee with my wrist. If I don't have that, he can just pull the knee right out. Pull the knee right out. Yep, no good, come back. Here, now when he goes split out, he can't. And now, because I'm in a backside 50-50, there's pressure to the back of his knee, and because his leg's on the top side, I can immediately make use of that pressure by exposing his heel. Okay? Now here, when he goes to backstep, what I want to do is I want to make sure that I don't lose the heel hook. Okay? Right here, I'm not focused on finishing him. I'm focusing on just making sure I don't lose heel exposure. So my right hand makes a football grip, like so, and my left hand is going to go at the crook of his knee. So as he backsteps, I can hold everything in place here. See the direction of his knee? That's what I'm trying to maintain. If the knee is capable of doing this, this is where slipping happens, heel slipping, okay? I want to make sure that as he backstep, this is what I was asking you for. Sorry, we hold here. Okay, see how the knee is pointed that way? Now, do you know what a heel slip is? Okay, so that's a heel slip. Okay, if he's here, it's going to be basically impossible for him to heel slip. Okay, if the knee's pointed in this direction. And I hold here, and then we're going to move towards finishing, but I just want you guys to get the control aspect of it down first, okay? So let's go again. Control leading to the application of a heel hook is probably the best way to ensure you actually get the heel hook, right? You see people all the time, they catch the heel and they get like super eager about just like ripping and breaking. It's not going to lead to like a lot of consistent success with the heel hook. Really what you want to do is you want to control, set the conditions in place for the break, and then actually apply the break, okay? So we're learning to set the controlling conditions first, all right? So again, elevate. I'm going to go under and over and pull myself in nice and deep. Guys, this grip here, we always want to make sure not to leave it there for too long because there is a threat of a rolling Kimura. Just take your Kimura here. Yeah, that is a threat there we don't want to leave. Okay, so you'll hold that for a second, but we never hold it for too long. Let me just have the position here. So I'm here, and we're moving right away, okay? So I'm here, pass it here. Now, let's just do one full speed. So you're here, he comes towards me. Pass it. Okay? Okay. So guys, I'm gonna bring, first my legs come towards me, and then I knock him back. As I knock him back, he goes towards me. Now stop your hip. See how I grab here? And now it's the momentum of him coming forward that lets me spin, catch the heel, back step, and we have our grips in place to keep the heel hook where we want it, okay? So again, it's football grip and grip at the knee. Okay, what I don't want is this to start happening. If his knee starts drifting in this direction, that's where slips happen. Okay, as long as I'm holding here, it's gonna be very, very hard for Tyler to slip. So come up to that knee again. So we're here. One more time. So this is for, again, when the guy he's coming towards me, okay? If he was going away from me, bring your head, no, stay up, but just bring your head away. Yeah, so you good. This is not gonna work, guys. This is for when he's coming towards me. Okay, you're getting really like crushed and pressured here. So he's really trying to crush me, okay? And now I bring his hips back, and now when he comes forward again, we spin. Puts so much pressure on you, they're so close to you that spinning underneath the way we just did becomes very, very difficult, okay? So the modification we're gonna make this time when the guy's like super, super close to us is we kind of do the same sort of initial motion where we bump him back. This time, my left hand is gonna be very key, okay? As he comes towards me, if I just open up my legs and he's super close like this, I just open up my legs and try to spin, there's a really good opportunity for Tyler right here to catch it. Yep, to catch a heel hook, okay? Because he's so close to me. So when I go like this, he can catch that heel hook. Yeah, that's terrible. That's a real mess. When I spin, look what happens to my knee. My knee points to the inside of his hips. That gives him a good opportunity to expose my heel. So the first thing we gotta do is when he's really close to me, is I've gotta make it hard for him to do that. So I'm gonna take my left hand. It's just, guys, notice what my right hand is doing. It's the same thing where I'm going like this in order to get my head going behind, okay? But this time my left hand becomes even more key than in the last one. This time my left hand is gonna go at his bicep so that I can put, as I'm spinning, my right foot at his bicep. Okay, now there's no heel hook. Okay, now I'm gonna put my left foot at his bicep and I continue to spin. My left hand goes to the front of his knee. Notice how I'm not grabbing. I'm using essentially the side of my hand so I can continue to spin behind and enter into a backside 50-50. From which point we do the same heel exposure dig where my elbow comes back and I catch the heel. Okay, let's look at that again. So we're here and he's super, super tight. So what I do is I take this hand, if I just open like this, Tyler can heel hook me. Yep, that's really bad. I just gave him that. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take my left hand, I go here, and I put my right foot there. And then I put my left foot there. Now my left hand goes, it's not the hand, it's the side of my arm. Okay, see what I'm doing here, guys? You could use your hand, it's not terrible, but I find there's more momentum when I use the side of my arm. Now I can dig and catch the heel. One more time. So again, he's like super, super tight here. Okay, I'm cutting my angle with my right arm. Now my left arm's gonna set things in place so I'm safe. Guys, if your right foot is on his bicep, try to heel hook me with my foot on your bicep. He can't. He's gotta take the foot off the bicep. If he takes the foot off the bicep, then you can. But as long as you, when you're here, come over, we go here, I put the foot on the bicep, you're safe. Then we go left foot on the bicep, and spin, you catch the heel. Okay, now, this time, we're gonna actually look at the finish. So he back steps. Again, guys, we start with this football grip and this grip at the knee. The main thing we're focused on is making sure the knee is pointed this way. When he turns the knee this way, you can lose the grip. Okay, my heel hook grip. That's called a heel. See what you just did? That's a heel slip, okay? So guys, when he turns the knee this way, yeah, see how it slipped off? That's a heel slip, guys. That's how we lose a heel hook, okay? So to make sure he can't heel slip, guys, if he can't turn his knee this way, he can't heel slip, okay? I hold here. Now, he's not going to be able to heel slip. All right, now, I hold here. The finish we're going to do is I'm going to take both my feet and put it on top of his hips and torso. Okay, now here, I'm going to take my left hand and I'm going to grip the heel. Okay, so I've got this basic wrist launch, we were trying to football. You have a basic football grip, you grip the heel. Now look at this hand. I'm going to grab my own forearm. Now I'm going to lift my hips up and I drive my elbow into his head. So hips come up and I drive my elbow into his head. We're making this grip here because this is more difficult for him to slip. This is a very solid grip. I really like the butterfly grip, but sometimes what'll happen, slips. So we go here, so there's there's no slippage, right? He can't slip because I'm grabbing his heel, okay? So go here, lift the hips up, and I bring the elbow. You okay? Yeah. Okay, so come back up, just again. So again, we're in a bottom 50-50. He's very, very tight. Very, very tight to me. So the first thing we gotta do is my right arm goes underneath, a scoop grip, my left arm goes at his bicep. I make enough space so I can put my right foot there. Okay? Now I switch to my left foot, and my left arm and my right arm help me to spin behind him. Okay, now because I'm in a backside 50-50, I can put pressure to the back of his knee, which gives me the opportunity to expose his heel. I expose initially with a football grip, right? The wrist sweat grip here, it's a little easier again for slipping to happen. So I take a football grip, I grab at the knee, he back steps, I get my feet in front of him, okay, like so. Now I go and I catch the heel, okay, so I'm here, I essentially grasp the heel. Think of it like you're grabbing a ball, like you're picking up a baseball or something, right? So you're here, grab, I guess I don't want to see like this or this, it's literally the ball of the heel, okay? So we're here, and we grab our wrist. I'm going to see my feet are going on top and coming up. Okay, I also don't want my feet here, because here we're going to have this challenge come forward. No, stay down, stay up. Just like literally come forward with your hands. And you can start hand fighting. Yes, you can strip the grip and stuff. Yeah, very good. So if my feet are here, okay, now when he goes to come forward, he can't, and I can bridge my hips up, and I can get the tap. Okay, makes sense, guys? All right, one more time. Nice. And we get our tap. All right, makes sense, guys? Let's see, sorry. 1, 2, 3.
All right, so let's look at a match that I had where, like, I used this spin under movement to get to a backside 50-50 and expose somebody's heel. Okay, there's a couple other useful concepts surrounding the leg lock game that we can also explore in this match. All right, so to start off, I'm hand fighting here. Generally speaking, in a no-gi setting, when I want to establish an initial contact with my opponent, I'm going to look to use my hands to do so first. In the gi, there's a little bit more ability to use your feet to do this because there is more friction between your body and his, right? The guy's wearing the gi, so therefore there's going to be more friction. So it's a little easier to use your feet to establish an initial connection, though I do think that still using your hands is the best method, but this is especially so in no-gi, all right? So I'm here making grips on his hands to establish my initial connection. From there, what I'm going to do is I pull myself into a double koichi movement. If you notice what's happening here is my feet, I'm trying to put them, okay, here I'm actually trying to hook at his knees, okay, which you could argue is not really a double koichi anymore, but it's similar enough. Now, there's a lot of leg extension here, which is the big weakness of the double koichi. But because I'm grabbing both of his hands, it's okay. If he were to drop for a body lock, I can hold him off, you know, using my hands against his hands, and I can mitigate the threat of the body lock, okay? I would never go for a double koichi unless I had some form of control of his upper body, okay? The threat of the body lock counter is too great otherwise. So again, I go for it a second time, and this time what's going to happen is I get into a shin on shin. I use that to go to a standard ashi. Okay, we'll look at that again. First time, he is able to backstep and get away. This time, I get into my shin on shin. So right here, I have a shin on shin, and I'm able to see how I can create a bend in the leg. Okay, I've got pressure at the back of his knee with my left hand, and then I can use my left shin, right, my shin on shin leg, to punch through. My right knee is high towards my shoulder, so he can't like just mount me, obviously. And then I go to a standard ashi. Okay. Now from here, you've got obviously tons of options. The one I go for is I go for an X guard on the far side leg. He backsteps, I follow through, and I get to an outside ashi. Then I use my outside ashi to get to a 50-50. He comes up. We were in a double-seated situation. Let's watch the full sequence, and then I'll break it down. And I spin under to a backside 50-50. Now, let's break that down step by step. So step one is I go from my shin on shin to a standard ashi. From here, I go to an X guard, and literally as soon as I get to the X guard, he starts backstepping. This is one of the best counters he could have done in this situation. So this was like a good move by this guy. Okay, the backstep is a very good pass counter when someone is looking to play standard ashi or X guard on you. all right? Now what I do is I follow him with my legs, okay? So if you look at John Satava's ADCC trials run, his North American trials run, he uses this same counter. So he's trying to counter my X guard, and to counter his counter, I follow his legs with my legs, okay? In the trials, Satava mainly used that to get on top, which I could have done here, but instead I followed all the way through into a seated X guard. So right here, I have an X guard and we're both seated, okay? Eddie Cummings used this in his own trials run win. If you look at, I think his match against John Joseph, he used a seated X guard, same as I'm doing here, okay? If it's not that match, it's one of his matches. It was the trials he made that he wound up winning in Florida. But anyway, so from here, I grab his ankle. I'm going to shoot my right leg underneath, and I get to an outside ashi. From the outside ashi, I throw his leg to the other side into a 50-50. Now, right now, we're in a double-seated situation, okay, which is going to mean that the spin under technique I demonstrated earlier in this video would kind of be implausible because of the fact that his leg is so low, there's no space to the back. Well, there is space, but there's not a lot of space to the back of his knee that I can use to put pressure to the back of it. Okay, in these situations, I explained in other videos, in any double-seated leg entanglement, the main strategy you want to employ to gain heel exposure is gaining hip height such that you can turn your hips to face the front of his knee. All right, but that's not what we're doing here, okay? Because here, he comes up. Now, it's going to be about putting pressure to the back of that knee. All right, and the way I'm going to do that is with a spin under. Okay, the great strength of the spin under is that it enables you to get to a backside 50-50 and put pressure to the back of his knee while simultaneously having your arm on the inside, which means you can immediately attain heel exposure. You can contrast that with a K guard, which does allow you to put pressure to the back of his knee very, very effectively. But the problem is it puts your arm in a situation where, so for instance, with a K guard, my left arm would be on the other side of his ankle. Okay, which means that I wouldn't be able to immediately expose the heel. Okay, I would have to pass it off to the top side and then expose his heel. But in the time that it takes to do that, if he's good, he's going to backstep, and then we're in a double-seated situation once again. Okay, and then you missed your opportunity to gain heel exposure, and you'd have to move on to other things. Now here, what I'm going to do is the big threat of the spin under from the bottom 50-50 is the counter heel hook. When I open up my legs here, okay, I've got to make sure that he's not able to gain the heel hook. Now, I showed in this video using your feet to block his bicep, but take a look what happens here. We go essentially like hand fighting here, right? Now, the reality is, if he's holding onto my hands, I know I can open up my legs now because he can't heel hook me with this, right? Because I'm holding his hand, right? So I open up and I put my foot on his stomach. Now, once my foot's on his stomach, I know I'm totally safe from the heel hook. He can't heel hook me if my foot's on his stomach. Same as if my foot was on his bicep. All right, my toes have to be roughly in his armpit area for him to heel hook me. All right, now what I'm going to do is with my left hand underneath and behind the back of this leg, I'm going to start. Oh, and I also, very important to note, I'm grabbing his knee with this hand so he can't pull out. I showed in this video using the back of your wrist to do it, and I actually said I prefer that to the hand, but here I use the hand. Either can work, though I do typically prefer to use the wrist. The reason why I used the hand here was because of the fact that his leg was the knee was very high. In such situations, it's better to use the hand, I think. So, for instance, if his ankle was a little bit farther out, right, his leg. So right now his leg is like a 90-degree or like a right angle, so to speak, right? If the angle was further and the bend was less sharp, which would make the knee less high, that's when I would use my wrist, okay, rather than my hand. But here I use my hand. Again, it's not a big difference, to be honest. Okay, now here what I'm going to do is I start to spin. Okay, you notice how I brought my head to the inside. That was facilitated by the use of this arm, okay, behind this knee. Now here I'm in a backside 50-50. I catch the heel right away. Okay, and here, generally speaking, he's either going to backstep or he's going to roll, but here he doesn't really do either. So I kind of do that for him. I roll back. Now here, I'm in a very strong position to get a tap. Now here, the break comes from the contrast of my grip here, pulling the heel, and my ashigarami, my leg entanglement, creating pressure on the top of his thigh. If you take a look at this leg here, it's putting tremendous pressure to the top of his thigh. The closer we can get that pressure to his knee, the better, the stronger the break is going to be. And this is a very, very strong finish then. In addition, because my left foot is on his stomach, he's not going to be able to come forward to hand fight and mitigate what I'm doing. All right? And that's where the finish comes from. Again, I want you guys to take note of how close my thigh is to his knee. That allows me to put pressure at the top of his thigh very close to his knee. That's what we want to get a break. All right? Yeah. Anyway, guys, hope this was useful in explaining the technique that I showed earlier in the video.
What I got to do.